There we go. So here, first and foremost, is our website. You should be relatively familiar with this. It's bostontheological.org. It's quite easy to get to. And the tab we're viewing right now is cross-registration, this maroon button on the top right. And this is where you'll find all information about cross-registration, which is our focus today. Of course, you can explore all of these tabs up here if you need them, but today we'll be focusing here. If you are a new student to the BTI, you will need to register as a new student, and that's on this tab. And this is how you get your login information to the portal. And when you fill this out, you only need to do so once during your tenure as a student. When you fill this out, you will get an automatic reply from our system that includes a username and a password. The username is formatted like an email address. It's usually your last name followed by @bostontheological.org. It is not an email, but it's just a routing system that our portal uses to communicate with your registrar. But that's what your username will look like. And of course, it will include a temporary password, which you can then reset when you log into the portal. And so once you have that in hand, you will have your login information, and that's just system generated. Your registrar will review your form, ensure that you are who you say you are, and that you are in the program that you've said you're in. And when they approve you, that means that you can use those login credentials that you received. And you will get emails to your school email that you use to fill out that form throughout this process. So you don't have to worry about divining decisions that have been made or trying to just test the system every day to see if it's worked. No worries, you will get automatic emails from the system telling you when each step has been accomplished. That said, you will want to make sure to add our administrator email to your safe emails list, because it's an automatic email and a lot of our school emails are set up to put those into spam or junk. So just make sure that you have us on your safe list. So this cross-registration page, if you ever forget anything about what we say today, this is where you want to go. So right now we have a big announcement up here that registration will open in mid-November. This is like a sweet spot between all the dates of all 10 of our member schools. Some of you have probably already started registering. Some of you won't register until January. So we attempt to get the catalog, at least the first edition, open by mid-November, and then add to it as schools become available. However, the portal remains open for the current semester because it is also how you would add or drop a class. And we're already into the withdraw period, but you can use our portal to do that as well. Any announcements here that are pertinent to cross-registration will be updated. Of course, this year it was mostly around vaccination and COVID-19. And then you get the basic introduction. You can find all your tools on this page. You can only register for approved BTI courses. As much as we would love to offer every class at every school to every student, it's just not possible, especially at our larger universities that have the School of Theology or the Department of Religion is one small piece of a gigantic entity, right? We are only allowed to offer the classes that are approved for cross-registration. You can also click here to open a download for a step-by-step guide. And this, again, repeats everything that I will even think about saying today, including with screenshots. So you don't have to take fastidious notes. You can always go back and look at that. We also created a flow chart at one point, just because I know that that step-by-step guide can get overwhelming, and it's a very basic, oh, if it'll load, come on, buddy, there we go. It's a very basic flow chart that tells you the steps in the process, and these are also the points at which you can expect to get an email. So if you don't get an email at these steps, you can know that maybe something is delayed or you've missed an email at some point. So like I said, new students get that login from the new student form that I showed you. And returning students use your credentials that you get throughout your entire tenure in your program. You only have to get credentials one time. If you lose them or you misplace them or you just can't remember, don't hesitate to shoot us an email. We have full access to all the data that's within our system and can assist you on a case-by-case basis. So I'm now going to turn over the mic to Chloe because she is going to take you from a student perspective on how one would then proceed through cross-registration.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and show you what I'm looking at. So what you should be seeing is it's like a Safari page that says pick an account, Microsoft. Yes. Okay, cool. So this is what comes up after you have clicked on the go to the portal button on the cross registration page. So once you've chosen a class and all of those kind of things, you're going to do this. You're going to get to this point. So I have signed into this account before. So this is my BTI login. I'm currently enrolled in a course at Boston College. My home school is Boston University School of Theology. So I'm cross-registered for a class at Boston College. So I'm going to click on this and then sign in. Let's see. Okay. So this is what came up for me. This might look kind of weird, but these are the things that I have looked at before. However, if you want to look at the whole, like just the portal, what you're going to do is go down here to what says SharePoint. It's a little S. And it will come to here. So you're going to click on BTI portal. And mine also looks a little bit weird because I have signed into it as like an administrator before too. So it shows me different things. So most likely when you sign in, this is the screen you will see. The one that says home, drop a course, dates and deadlines, frequently asked questions, recent, drop a course. So drop a course is the only option we have right now. Normally there would be something up here that says like register for a course or cross-registration form. So let's say that I want to cross-register for a class, for a different class than I'm already in. So this is only for the fall. So I would have to cross-register for a class for a fall class. And let's say, gosh, I didn't even prepare a class that I could register for.
You can do BTI 100 and show the error screen.
Okay. So error, this course number is not found in the BTI system. Okay. So that means that I maybe put a space somewhere I shouldn't have, or it's a class that doesn't exist, or it's a class that's not open for cross-registration. This happens sometimes if you have looked at a catalog, like on one of the school websites. Some of the schools have like public course listings. And so if you have picked a class that's on one of those course listings that is not open for BTI cross-registration, it's not going to be in our system. So it's not going to come up. Stephanie,
something to note is that we provide both a Excel format and a web-based format for the catalog. And the reason we provide the Excel is, Chloe, I just put a number in the chat, is that the best way for you to enter a course number is by copy pasting it from the Excel. And that's because, if you couldn't tell, this system is based in Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel. And so it gets very picky if you put a space where it doesn't belong, or if you transpose a number. It's not Google, it can't search. And so we provide the actual Excel spreadsheet that I upload into the portal, and you can simply copy paste from there. And this is a course, and Chloe can click continue, that was offered, is currently being offered this fall at the School of Theology and Ministry. So Chloe successfully entered the correct number this time, didn't get that error message, and now she can confirm that this is the course that she's interested in taking. There's a go back button if it's still the wrong one. And then if this were something she wanted to proceed with, she would just click continue. And Chloe, you can go ahead and do so, and answer a very standard boilerplate set of questions. She has taken a course there before. She's going to take it for a letter grade. And you'll see once she submitted both answers to that question, the submit button appeared. It doesn't appear until you answer those required questions. And that's it. Bing, bang, boom. Number, continue, submit. And that's it.
And if, say, I registered for a class that I didn't intend to register for, or I registered for a couple classes and I have to choose between them, maybe you want to register for a couple classes and then like go to them and see how they go. And so then you can choose to drop a course through our website as well. We have all of our listings on here for when, like, so for the Department of Theology at Boston College, the last day that you could drop a course online was September 8th. So that date has well passed. So at this point, if I submitted a drop a class thing on here, I would be withdrawing from the class. So these are the two classes that I've taken through the BTI. I'm currently in the Book of Daniel. I took a class last spring at Harvard called Negotiating Across Worldviews. Yeah, so that is what the inside of the portal looks like. What happens when you click on these buttons? If you want to look at, if you like get in here and you get lost and you like need help, you can click on our frequently asked questions and that will help you with some things. You also, you know, can do all of that. So the other thing I want to show you is I'm just going to show you our new course catalog website. That's not what I meant to do. This thing keeps coming up here in my way. Okay. So, So we are now using a web-based format instead of we used to have a PDF that you would like scroll through until you got to the school that you wanted to look at. We're now doing it through a web-based format. So you'll be able to look at, here's like where you will see the classes and you can click on whichever school you want to look at. These are the ones that are currently available right now. St. John's, Hartford, BUGPR, Boston College School of Theology Ministry, and Boston College Theology Department. And this is where you would like look through and try to find the class that you want to take. And since these are now taken exactly from the same spreadsheet that Stephanie is using, the format of the course code should be the same from there to there. So I will hand it back to Stephanie. Unless there's something else that you would like.
That's perfect. So this is something that we've been working on for quite some time. Those of you who may be further along in your studies, we used to have a really cumbersome PDF that was just time consuming and not very useful. And in converting to the web-based format going forward, we'll be able to hopefully have a lot more consistency and ease of access to information. So the last thing I want to show you is actually back on our website. So let me get back. There we go. So back on our website, everywhere that Chloe was operating was here, right? She took you through the registration process. She showed you the add drop calendar. Of course, we have the COVID-19 policies listed here again, that they are so important right now. And everything she was seeing, right, was through this button. So she simply clicked on this button. This is going to look a little wild because I am the big daddy registrar, so I can see everybody. Yours, of course, will only have your school like Chloe's did. But like like you see, I'm already logged into my BTI account, so it just automatically took me there. So if you leave yourself logged into your BTI account, it'll just take you there each time. So when you're looking for that course, like Chloe said, she just showed you that new course catalog website, which I've put in the chat. And you can also access this Excel, like I mentioned before. And this is a basic Excel. If you've used Excel or Google Sheets before, you'll very much know what this looks like. And I think I'm only sharing I hate it when I don't share my desktop. I always forget to do that. There we go. You can simply open up your Excel, boop, and you'll see something that looks like this. Not a lot of people love Excel like I do, which was why we also moved to the course guide website. But we always upload this Excel because sometimes it is just easier to filter by column. So you can select the course type you want, the category, which is like Hinduism, interreligious learning, Judaic studies, anything like that. You could filter by instructor. If there's somebody you really want to see if they're offering a class, you can just simply scroll through the whole offering of instructors. Of course, there's course day, course time, whether or not it's online, yes or no, very important for our Hartford students, or if you want to take a class at Hartford Seminary, I deeply doubt that you're going to be able to make it to Connecticut every day from Boston. But if you take an online or hybrid course at Hartford Seminary, or I'm sorry, Hartford International University for Religion and Peace, they just changed their name, you can filter here by whether or not the course is online. Of course, this is not the best place to read the course description, which is why we now have the course website, but it includes all of your information about the class. One final thing to note, which because the course Chloe showed you did not require professor approval, you did not see, is sometimes you'll see right here, courses include both professor permission and a prerequisite. And so when that's the case, when you log into the portal and put that course number in, you'll see a big announcement that's like professor approval, professor approval. And that means that you need to email the professor directly. Most of our professors' emails are listed online. Unfortunately, because we have over 4,000 faculty that teach throughout the BTI, we simply can't keep a central repository for all of their emails. However, I do have direct emails to every single registrar posted on the website. So if you cannot find a professor's email through Google, you can email the registrar directly for that information. And you can always email our office and I can assist you in finding it. And when you see that, yes, you need to reach out to them as early as possible and get professor approval, because you will not be admitted to the course without the registrar being notified of that approval. So often when I talk to students and they're like, well, I really want to take intermediate Greek, but I took intro to Greek at another school and I'm really worried that I'm not going to be able to prove that. And I say, no worries, email the professor, tell them what's up, and CC your registrar and the registrar at the school that you wish to attend. That way everybody's on the same email. And when the professor says, oh, that's great, totally fine, I approve that you took intro to Greek at Hartford and now you're going to take intermediate Greek at Boston College, everybody says check mark and you're on your way. You still register through the portal in the same exact way. You don't have to change anything about entering anything else in the course system. You just want to make sure that you've done that approval separate. We don't, because there's so many faculty and they change all the time, unfortunately, they don't have access to the portal. So that piece of our puzzle still exists separately in your email. But just so you know, you'll have two sources for course guide information. You'll have this Excel you can download, and like Chloe showed you, you'll have bticourses.org. And this will be your more visual way. And this is actually the reason we moved here is that this is the only spot in our whole online presence that will function somewhat like Google. So you know how to use Google, you know how to use bticourses.org, and you can simply search by keyword. You can go through school by school, or you can, eventually you'll see as we add options here, you'll be able to select pre-sorted lists by topic and by our 3 certificate programs. Because if you aren't aware, we do offer 3 certificates through the BTI, and we have pre-approved courses and core classes for each of those certificates, and that'll all be available here. So as much as this is an overload of information, and I know it feels like it's a lot, we have slimmed it down quite a bit, and we're always trying to improve it. So as I said, when I opened this meeting, I do mean it. If there is at any point that you find an improvement that you want, or you find an error, don't hesitate to let us know. We're here to fix things, and we're here to make sure that this is as easy as possible. As it says here, spring will be coming in hopefully 2 weeks. That's the goal. Like you saw on our course site and on the Excel, we have about half of our schools reporting classes so far. We tried to get to at least 3/4 if we can before we open the portal, just for the ease of our registrars. They need to know who's available and what's happening. And so when that opens, the course catalogs will be available and the portal will open. It all happens at once. We do send an announcement through our newsletter. So if you're not signed up for the newsletter, you can do so here on the What We Do tab. You have to opt in. We do not force add anyone to the newsletter list. So you want to opt in here, and it comes every other week on Tuesdays. And we have all sorts of information about what's going on in the BTI, but primarily people like being subscribed to the newsletter because we send an announcement exactly when information is available and the portal is open. So that way you don't have to try to check back all the time. You'll just get an email in your inbox when you need to log in. Any questions? That's the basics of cross-registration. I'm happy to take any questions. Hey, Yazid, what's up?
Hey, hello. So I'm studying at the Hartford International University, the recently renamed Hartford International University for Peace and Religion. So we need to decide, obviously, before the end of the semester, what our elective is going to be. And I just want to share that our classes at the HIU, apparently, according to the director of the program, those classes are up quite quickly. I'm just a bit anxious about alerts. Hopefully, once that list is out, we can look at that. I'm really keen to look at something at the Divinity School. It might mean, of course, that I have to do face-to-face, which might mean, train rides and all those things. But I've heard only good things about the Divinity School, and that's why I'm keen. And I'm meeting also with somebody who studied there. But the main question I have is also about. I was just curious to know, do you think all the Divinity School classes are going to be face-to-face? Do you have an idea yet? Because
yeah,
thank you.
So each school is different right now, and that has a lot to do with COVID. So we haven't heard any changes yet from our schools, except for class by class. So Boston College School of Theology and Ministry is mostly in person, the Divinity School there, but they have 2 classes online because of the instructor's choice. Same at BU. Harvard has only 1 class online right now. Everything else is face-to-face. And I know that a struggle with Harvard, and I think this does impact. I think Hartford is good now. For a while, when some of our schools were not mandating vaccines, Harvard would not allow any students from an institution that did not mandate vaccines. I think all of our schools, except for Gordon Conwell, currently mandate vaccines. And so everyone except Gordon Conwell students can cross-register at Harvard. But we'll want to double check that because it is up to the universities themselves individually to decide who can participate in their courses, particularly around COVID policies. So before the course guide is open, we will confirm those COVID guidelines and you'll know what you're eligible for and what you're not. The courses if you're interested in Harvard, which is our most popular, they have a very odd registration system. So while all of our other schools, you'll start registering relatively soon if you haven't already, and you'll register for your classes and you'll make a course plan and all those things will be done in the next month or so. Harvard functions with a shopping period. So that means that no one, including their own students, register until courses begin in January. So the course guide will come out with Harvard on it. And what will happen is if you choose one of those classes, you go through the portal just like normal, you enter the number, and that application will go to your registrar wherever you go to school, and they'll approve it as part of your course plan. And then it will go to Harvard and it will just sit there until January, because this is how it works. And you may not get a confirmation that you're in the class until classes have begun, because that's how all of their courses work. So you'll show up to the first day and you'll take the ride like everyone else. It's a bit jarring because it doesn't work like any other system. However, something I always tell students, particularly if you're very committed to a class, is that even if it does not require professor permission, you should email the professor as soon as you know you really want to take the class. I teach at Boston College still in addition to this job, and I'm more than happy when students reach out to me and say, I'm from the BTI, I really want to take this class. And I say, okay, you're in my brain and I have your email. So the process will unfold as the process unfolds, but the golden ticket into any class is the professor's permission, because they're the arbiter of their class. I can choose to overload my class if I want. That's up to me, not up to my school or my boss. And so if there is a course that you know you really, really want, and even if it doesn't require professor permission, reach out, say hello, say, I'm coming, especially at Harvard, say, I'm coming, I promise I'm coming. And they'll say, great. And they'll make sure that you are expected and that you get through the application process a little bit quicker, because it is a very challenging thing for students like myself when I was a student, who plan like a year in advance what we need to take. That shopping period at Harvard can be a little jarring, but I promise it's possible. And like I said, if at any time you're like, that's the class, that's the professor, that's the class, do not hesitate to email them and say, hey buddy, I'm coming and I really, really am dedicated to working with you.
Yeah, but Stephanie, do we then need to register for a few different classes, and do we run the risk of not getting accepted for the class that we want?
That's always the risk, registration anywhere that's always the risk. But like I said, if the earlier you know what you want to take and you have a priority list, email those professors first thing, and often they'll say, great, unless there's something else happening that the BTI doesn't know about, like something internal to their school, but they might disclose that to you. They might say, well, my class is already half full, but you're at the top of the whatever list they have, who knows. But we've had great success with our professors. They understand that every system throughout the BTI is different, and they want to advocate for the students. I know for myself, if somebody really wants to take my class, I'm like, yes, because I know that they're passionate about the topic and that they reached out to me proactively. I mean, you can imagine this just from being a student, right? The most excited students are the most rewarding for a professor. So if they know that you're excited and coming, I've made exceptions for those students almost every time, because I'd rather have you than somebody who just like ended up in my class by virtue of a calendar thing. So yeah, Chloe?
The other thing I was going to add is a rule of thumb that makes things a little bit that will give you a little more confidence is if it's a lecture or a seminar, you're much more likely to get into the class because they tend to be able to accept larger numbers and often have like teaching fellows and things like that, PhD students. If it's like a discussion-based class, or it's a class that says it is a smaller, like a smaller seminar class,
Limited
those are going to be
enrollment.
riskier.
Yeah. Limited enrollment classes are harder to get into because they're in high demand and they only have like 12 seats. So those are just by virtue, they're harder, but often the larger sections at our larger schools that end up having about anywhere from 40 to 80 people in the intro classes, they do have then separate discussion groups that break out from them. And those I almost never hear of people not being able to get into just by virtue of the design of the course.
Yeah. My last point is firstly, thank you. And I might need to log out before the end of the Zoom chat, but I've left my number if anybody wants information about the Harvard, where I'm at, the Hartford International University for Religion and Peace, formerly known as the Hartford Seminary, long name. Feel free to ask questions as well because I'm on campus. I'm a full-time student here.
Thank you so much, Izzy. I really appreciate it. Any other questions, Toby or Dara?
I do have a question, but Toby, if you wanted to go, you no? Okay. This is a stupid question, but I just want to make sure that after I've registered, I don't have to reach out to STH at all and say, hey, I registered for a class at the BTI. That's all integrated, right? There's no extra hoop for me to jump through at BU.
Correct. So the way we've coordinated the system, the same way you get emails to your .edu school address when you register, that you get the confirmation, the approval, your registrar is getting those as well. So they see every step of the process, and then they are able to take that information and automatically put it in your unofficial transcript, right? So when you register, they'll put it when you log into whatever your student portal is, and you'll see yourself in a BT. It usually just says BTI course. Sometimes it's a holder, but they'll put it in and you'll be able to see it. Then when grades come around, the registrar at, let's say you took a class at Boston College, the registrar at Boston College will communicate those grades to Sang at STH. He'll load them, and then that'll go on your official transcript with the real course number of what you took. And sometimes, just to keep note, sometimes different credit hours exist at different schools, and it is up to your home school to decide how many credits you get for that class. So sometimes they'll just take, let's say it's 3 at BU and 4 at BC. They'll just take 3 because they count 3 as a full class. And sometimes if it has an extra burden of work, like a language lab, they'll take 4. So you do want to, if you have a question about credit numbers, that is for you to discuss with your registrar, because the BTI doesn't make that decision. Your registrar does, because it's up to how they see you going through the course plan.
Can I ask one quick follow-up, and then I'll let others have a chance? So as a UU student, there are some classes I need for ordination. If I know that Harvard is where a lot of my classes are offered, if I know that a class is being offered, but it's not on the BTI, is there any way to petition that a class get added?
Yes. Great question. So as far as I know, both UU polity classes in the spring are cross-listed, but if it is not, there is almost always a way around it. And like I said before, it all has to do with the professor. So you reach out to the polity professor, you know them, you know who they are, and you say, I don't see the course in the BTI catalog. Can we have an exception for me? And once they say yes, you forward that email to me and include the course number. I got to know that course number. And then I add that course number into the portal just for you. And you go through the registration process exactly the same way. I'll confirm to you that BTI 100 is now in the portal for Dara, and you go through and do it exactly how you would any other time. This also holds true for independent study or directed reading. So as a PhD student, I needed to come back to STH to do a directed reading with Shelley Rambo because I study trauma as well. And there's no trauma scholar at Boston College. So I reached out to Shelley. We created a new course number for a directed reading. She got it approved, of course, through SANG. And then I went through the portal just like normal. And I registered for BTI 100 and the registrars were all in the loop and all that. So there's likely always a way for you to get an exemption if the professor approves it. Because there's often, let's say, Intro to New Testament. BC decides that class fills because it's required. So we're not going to open it to any BTI students. And then in hysterics, Toby calls me because he needs Intro to New Testament to graduate. And it's his last semester and he's going to die. And so we reach out to the Boston College professor and say, can you make an exception? BU wasn't able to offer Intro to New Testament. Toby really needs it. 9.999 times out of 10, they say yes. And then we add, then we add the number in for Toby and he's on his merry way. So there really is a lot of flexibility in the system, but we like to keep those for case-by-case basis because those classes that aren't included often aren't included, not because the professor doesn't want them open, but just because they have either great demand or a very limited capacity, like a polity class. Those tend to be a lot smaller. So to your point, Dara, yeah, if there's ever something that you know is being offered or you feel is being offered and you don't see it on the BTI course guide, reach out to the professor, get me the course number, and we'll make it happen. Cool. Anything else?
I have a kind of first order question. Since I missed the first 10 minutes or so, and because this is a lot of information, will y'all make this available so I can kind of rewatch and process through? And okay, cool. Because I just wanted to make sure that was going to work out. As I do that, I'll kind of try to, deeply familiarize myself with the site and the Excel sheet and all that stuff. So, okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, so that'll be back up. And if you missed it, there is a step-by-step guide up there in Word format that's got screenshots so you can know what you're supposed to be seeing. I'm a visual learner, so I will put a screenshot on everything because I'm like, what is it supposed to look like though? I see the word twice. What is it supposed to look like? So that's on there. And we have a general inbox. It's just BTI office at bostontheological.org. It's all over the website. Both Chloe and I answer that inbox, and feel free to email it. You can also, if you're really stuck and it's a very particular case, like you have a need that's just for you, email me directly. It's just my last name, edwards@bostontheological.org, and I will work with you and with the appropriate registrars to get it fixed.
Okay.
Tech isn't perfect, things break and stuff happens, and we're very lucky to still work directly with the programmer who built the portal. Mm-hmm. And so if we can't fix it, Josh can fix it. And that's what we're here for. It really, we've been really lucky since we moved online. We've just gotten better and better. And I know that Chloe has put in an amazing amount of work to get us to the point where we're actually generating information and systems that are intelligible to our students and useful to our students. So, with that being said, there's always more we can do. So if possible, right, we will try to fix anything that you come up against. I will say, just for the benefit of you all and anyone that you might talk to, I promise that we do not delay the course catalog to piss you off. I swear. The hitch in the giddy up is that we have to wait until the courses are given to us by each member school. And because each member school has such wildly divergent calendars. Like Harvard doesn't ask their professors to finalize the classes they're going to teach until like next week. And even then they can change them. And whereas where I teach at BC, I had to submit my course a year ago. So it kind of is this very amorphous process, and we try to be as quick as humanly possible, but we try to wait just a little bit, because the worst thing is for you to hop on the first day, register, and then have the class get canceled, or have it wildly change. Like it went from Wednesdays to Sundays, you know? And so we take a couple beats just to let some things shake out, because it's already hard enough to plan to take a course at another physical location with a totally new set of online logins, with a totally, you know, different way of speaking and being in the world, that, you know, we're still working out kinks, but we do try to make sure everything is as quick and as smooth as possible, because as much as I benefited from the BTI, I started at BU in 2008 and ran around Boston with triplicate carbon copies to get physically signed by each registrar and then by me in order to cross-register. So that is where we do not want to return to. We are trying to eliminate any barriers, because like I said, it's been so valuable to me, and I know that it continues to be really valuable to our students. I hope that you all are able to cross-register for something in the future. Even if that doesn't work out, please do keep abreast of the newsletter, see if a certificate program might be a good fit, and know that every single library throughout the BTI is open to you once you fill out that new student form, with full lending privileges, full access to the archives, no questions asked. So there's a lot of things out there. We did just launch funding for students to attend and present at conferences. So if you ever come across that need over your tenure, you can fill out a short funding application on our website. And we also provide funding for student-led conferences and initiatives. That form is also on the website. So just keep in mind that cross-registration is super important, but it's not all that you have access to. It's just one piece. And if Chloe, this is better, we promise. If you need anything, like I said, don't hesitate to shoot us an email. Sweet. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was really helpful. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye.